Hello and welcome again to this edition of a short Torah for this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha, Tazria Metzorah, speaks about the Metzorah. The Metzorah is a leper, a person who had an illness, a skin disease that would indicate an issue. What was that issue? Let me show you a verse in this week's Seder that indicates the following. It says, V'nei hanega omok me'ar basaro. Behold, that nega, behold, that blotch was deeper than the skin. The literal meaning of this means that when you looked at it, it had a much deeper color and deeper appearance than the skin around it. But the Slonim Rebbe, who lived just very recently, passed away about 5 years ago, the Slonim Rebbe says, V'nei hanega omok me'ar basaro, means something else. It means that the actual problem was not only skin deep. There was a much deeper problem. The problem was much more deeper rooted in the person and his personality. It wasn't just an external problem. He gives an example and he says, sometimes people are unwell and you'll find that they have a cut and that cut has a scab. But if you look at the scab and you see that this is just a regular cut, it's an ordinary problem. Sometimes you'll find a wound on a person, but that wound is actually telling of something much deeper that's going on underneath. There's something inside the skin that's a problem. There could be an infection. There could be septicemia. There could be many other things. It's not just that tiny thing. This is the symptom of something much deeper. And I think this week's Seder is telling us the following. That when you are looking at a problem, when you're looking at an illness, you need to look below the surface. Not only skin deep. Many people, when they look to solve their problems, always look for the simple solution. And sometimes a simple solution is just the wrong solution. The reason for that being is because the simple solution only deals with the symptom. It does not deal with a problem. I'll give you an example. My wife was talking to me recently about a woman who called her up, someone not even in my community, that called up and wanted to have a bit of a chat with her about a personal issue between herself and her husband. And they had this whole discussion. My wife said she spent an hour on the phone with this woman. And then we discussed it afterwards. She didn't tell me who this lady was. She just discussed with me the basics of the issue. And she said to me, says, how can we help such a person? And we tried of thinking of ways of helping the person. But my wife said that this lady said, even if we would deal with the problem, it would just turn into an argument. If she were to try to discuss it with her husband, it would become an argument. And what a shame that is, because you cannot deal with the issue at hand, because the issue at hand that she was mentioning actually is part of a much greater problem of communication between herself and her husband. And until they fix the communication, you cannot deal with this localized problem. You might be able to deal with a localized problem, but you've not really solved the main underlying issue. And this is one of the messages from this week's Parsha. When you're trying to deal with things, sometimes the symptoms are so bad you'll have to deal with the symptom. But under normal circumstances, if you really want to get to the bottom of something, if you really want to fix something, you cannot just look at the symptoms. You're going to have to look at the issue. You're going to have to look at what is really causing these symptoms, and then try to get beneath the surface and fix that. And if we can get to the actual illness, as opposed to only dealing with the symptoms, which are the things which are omok me'ar basaro, the things which are deeper than the skin, then we stand a chance to resolve our issues and our conflicts. Have a good Shabbos.